Hey, everybody, we're getting started. This is going to be an interesting one. I'll tell you what. This was today's subject is going to be about wealth and wealth gaps and why some people are, wealthy in this country, others aren't. We're gonna, I don't know, just explore a little bit, and it's kind of could be a little bit of a touchy subject too, because a lot of people feel like they should be wealthy and life's been bad against them and stuff like that. So I wanted to take a different approach as to why maybe some people are wealthy. Many are born into it, but I will tell you that is a very small percentage. Most millionaires are self-made millionaires, and it's because of the type of habits that they do. So I want to welcome you as you come on. If you do, would appreciate it if you mark hashtag live, or if you're watching the replay, watch the hashtag or put in the comment hashtag replay. All right. So I got to get my head wrapped around this because, like I said, this is kind of deep, and I've been studying this afternoon quite a bit. I mean, I got started on this with my live from Tuesday, which had to do with reading, right? I was talking about the importance of reading and passing that on to our kids. And right after that, Rob Speary, who's a gentleman I highly respect, he's got his own group for network marketers, and he had made a post, I think it was yesterday, and it really caught my attention. So I asked him for some more details on it. I wanted to get the source and that kind of thing, and then that just led me down all this reading and on research on this. And I'll tell you what, it's actually really fascinating. Talked about how I'm really into the mind. My book is talking a lot about how the mind works and stuff like that. And I love trying to discover what the root cause of different situations are. And we can make all the excuses, give all the reasons we want to, but in the end, we are all born, and then we either have a positive environment or we have a negative environment or some kind of complacent environment, right? And this research that I've been doing was really eye-opening even to me. I hadn't even really thought about a lot of this stuff. So maybe you have, maybe you haven't. If you've got kids, I'll tell you what, this is one very important live that you want to be able to watch. Hi, Jen. Good to see you on from New Jersey. Anyhow, this is just amazing information. How much value, I'll start out by asking this, how much value do you put on your daily habits? And here's the thing about habits. Most of our habits are unconscious. That means your life is being run mostly unconsciously on autopilot, right? I mean, there's lots of examples of that. You're driving home and, oh my God, how did I get from point A to point B? You don't remember anything in between. That's an example of being on autopilot. Well, comes to reality that most of our lives are done that way. We do things without really even thinking deeply about what we're about to make a decision on, right? So what are habits, right? We have good habits, bad habits. And what can you do about that as regards to your financial wealth? So that's what we're going to focus on. We're going to focus on habits. And really this comes down to parenting, because where do most of us get our financial literacy from, right? It isn't from school. Most of the education that we get in our schools is not financial literacy, right? So what can you do? And to help understand, there's a bunch of studies out there between what the wealthy do as a daily habit and what the poor do as a daily habit. And I don't have a specific number of what denotes the poor and what denotes the wealthy. I should have had that number for you. I was kind of looking for it, but then I got sidetracked and never got it. But I can tell you this. As of the fourth quarter of 2020, so very recent data, the top 10% hold 70% of the nation's wealth. All right? Now, you hear a lot about the wealthy got to pay their fair share. What's your fair share? I'm not getting into that political discussion. That's not what this is about. What this is about is how do you help that child that's growing up to be a part of that 10%? How do you help make that 10% to 30 or 40%, right? And split that wealth up amongst more people. It's possible, right? We all have 24 hours in a day. We all have mostly have the same opportunities here in the United States. It's how we interpret, how we harness all that, and mostly it's our daily habits. So I'm going to start out with something that this comes from Robbie Crockett. He did this research several years ago, and the title of it is Will Your Child Be Rich or Poor? 15 poverty habits that parents teach their children. In other words, he's flipping it, and we're going to talk about the difference between these different examples of what the wealthy teach their kids and what they do and what the poor do. And the challenge is it's a cycle, because the poor only know what they know, and so that's what they teach their kids, so then their kids only know what their parents taught them. The wealthy have a different set of habits, and they pass that on down to their kids. Hopefully it's kind of starting to make sense of where I'm going with all this. So let me go through some of these. This is amazing. You know, he asked the question, how many want to be financially successful in life? How many think they will be financially successful in life? You know, and if you're doing a seminar and you do ask those kinds of questions, most of the people are going to raise their hands, right? But then the next bonus question is, how many have actually taken a course in school on how to be financially successful in life? And usually there's not a single hand that goes up in the room. All right. So where do most people learn their financial education? And here we go. All right. 72% of the wealthy know their credit score. Only 5% of the poor do. There's a habit right there. If you're not concerned about your credit score, all right, that's telling a lot about your financial literacy, right? 6% of the wealthy play the lottery versus 77% of the poor, right? So the wealthy are not into gambling their money away, but the poor feel like they can make quick money, easy money, get the riches very easily. We're talking about mindset. We're talking about habits, right? 80% of the wealthy focus on at least one goal. 80% have a focus of at least one or more goals. Only 12% of the poor even have a goal. That is mind-blowing to me, but it gets you into the mindset, right? 62% of the wealthy floss their teeth. Now that's kind of a strange statistic, right? But why is that important? It's an indicator of self-discipline, right? That's the way I read it. So 62% floss their teeth, only 16% of the poor floss their teeth. How much does dental floss cost? So why are only 16% of the poor flossing their teeth? There's no excuse imaginable. It comes down to daily habits and overall financial education. 21% of wealthy are overweight by 30 pounds or more. 66% of the poor are. All right, the wealthy understand the importance of health and exercise. The poor don't make it a priority. 63% of the wealthy spend less than 1 hour a day on recreational internet usage, Facebook and that kind of thing, right? Guess what? 26% of the poor spend less than 1 hour. In other words, 74% of the poor spend more than 1 hour a day on recreational internet. That is a huge habit, all right? A huge denoter. 83% go back to their schools, so back to school night with the kids. 83% of the wealthy do, only 13% of the poor. Again, remember the title of this study, Will Your Child Be Rich or Poor? 15 Poverty Habits Parents Teach Their Children. So it's not necessarily that we have a wealth gap, we have a significant parenting gap, is what I'm going at with this, with the core issue. What's the core issue, right? 29% of wealthy kids made the honor roll, only 4% of the poor. 63% of the wealthy listen to audiobooks during their commutes. Only 5% of the poor do. What do you gain from that windfall time, that non-productive time? They're bettering themselves. That's a good habit, right? Only 5% of the poor do that. 67% of the wealthy watch less than 1 hour of TV per day. Less than 1 hour. Whereas only the 23% of the poor watch less than 1 hour. And who knows if many of those even have a TV, but that still means that 77% of the poor watch more than 1 hour's worth of TV. How is that improving their lifestyle? They're poor. They need to be investing in themselves, creating different habits in their lives to be able to increase their financial wealth. But 77% are paying the lottery, right? 9%, staying on the TV thing, only 9% of the wealthy watch a reality TV show. I can't tell you what or when was the last time I watched a reality TV show. I know there was The Bachelor, The Bachelorette. I know Elka was watching some of those. Back I'm like, why are you watching that trash? But get this, 9% of the wealthy watch reality TV. 78% of the poor watch reality TV. So you got to ask yourself, is that a wealth building habit? Of course not. 73% of the wealthy are taught the 80-20 rule. In other words, save 20% of your earnings, right? Live off of 80%, save 20%. So 72% of the wealthy were taught that, only 5% of the poor were taught that. 79% network. In other words, they were constantly working on building new relationships at least 5 hours or more per month. And the poor, it's only about 16%. Hey, if you want to get ahead in life, we're talking about wealthy habits, right? Or negative habits, poor habits. If you want to get ahead in life, it's about who you know and who you can network with. So if the poor are not teaching the habit of networking, how are their kids going to get ahead in life? Very, very difficult, all right? This one I've got starred. It says that 8% of the wealthy believe that wealth comes from random good luck, right? Only 8%. And maybe those are ones that won the lottery. I don't know, right? Or maybe they were given the money, inherited the money, something like that. I don't know. It's an interesting 8%, which means 92% of the wealthy believe that you've got to earn the money. You've got to go and do the work, right? So only 8% of the wealthy believe that wealth comes from random good luck. 79% of the poor believe that. That's a habit. That's a mindset, right? And I love what I learned a long time ago from my mentor, Mr. Brad Hager, that luck stands for labor under correct knowledge, all right? So if the poor are not teaching these wealthy type habits, where are the kids going to get it from? The last one from this study, 79% of the wealthy believe that they are responsible for their financial condition. Only 8% of the poor believe that they're responsible for their financial situation. And then they teach that to their kids, and that gets taught on to their kids, and that gets taught on to their kids. The poor have poverty habits. The wealthy have wealth building habits. And we need to do something about it. So some of the suggestions, I don't have this written up here, so I'm gonna kind of look down here. I apologize, but parents and schools need to work together and instill good daily success habits. Limit TV, limit social media, all right, to less than 1 hour a day. Anybody can teach their kids to do that. Get them to exercise regularly. Oh, number 2. Okay, so this was really important to me because, and I've got a whole nother study here, and we probably won't have time to get to it all, but I got a whole nother list of 19 things are wealthy habits, good habits to build. And I talked on Tuesday about reading, the importance of reading and reading to your children, the importance of reading at least 30 minutes to your children every single day from a worthwhile book, right? After I did that live, I saw one statistic that read that the wealthy or the successful, self-made, that is their number one wealth tip is reading. And then I saw another study that was on the top 3. And I've got another study here where it's ranked down here around, it's ranked 11th, but I will tell you it's very, very important. On this study, which is from the ones that I was just reading to you, he ranks it as number 2. Require that the children read 1 to 2 educational books a month. Reading is so, so important. And again, we're talking about wealth building habits that anybody can do. The library is there, so you can't use poverty as a reason why you can't read, right? Because you've got a library. You can go to the library. Limit junk food. That's for obvious reasons. Require children to set monthly and annual 5-year goals. Goal setting, right? That's another big one in another one of these studies. Require working age children to volunteer at least 10 hours a week. Wow, that's a lot. But I mean, that might be a little excessive right now, but how about 10 hours a month? How many kids are out there volunteering 10 hours a month? Again, even if you're in a poor situation, you can still get out there and volunteer. Not volunteering is a reason or an excuse. Require children to save at least 25% of their earnings. I would say if they can at least save 10%, we're on a good track. The importance of relationship building. Again, that networking. Teach that mistakes are good, not bad. In other words, don't scold your child for making a mistake. Help them learn from the mistake and grow from that mistake. We are way too hard on our children for that. This one was a great one. Punish children who lose their lose their tempers, right? And why is that? Because it's about the discipline and controlling that and the importance of controlling emotions. If you lose your emotions at work, how is that serving you? How is that going to improve your status within the employee ranks, help you move up in the chain if you cannot control your emotions, right? Teach them early on. Teach them about financial success. Teach them that the American dream is still alive and to be pursued. Help them manage money. Participate in non-sport related activities. Parents and children need to set aside at least 1 hour a day to talk to one another. Now, in my book, Discovering Your Authentic Truth, the last part of the book, I really get into how do you start applying all this information that I supplied in the first 3 quarters of the book. One of those that I bring up is the importance of parenting. Originally, I wanted to write a parenting book, but I was coaxed by an editor to do it this way instead, and I'm really happy I did. But one of the things about parenting, here's my philosophy on that. Take it for what it's worth. As long as their children know that you love them unconditionally, in other words, they did something really bad and they can come to you and you're not going to just react and scold them, but you're going to respond and have a conversation with them. If they know that they can come to you with anything and that you have that open, or that you love them unconditionally, and you have that open communication line where they know they can come to you even when they messed up without being ridiculed. I mean, they still maybe get punished, but they're going to be done in a very respectful way to help them teach them a lesson. You will have a successful parenting experience. Just those 2 things. And I will tell you, a lot of parents don't get those 2 things. Let's see, teach kids how to manage their times, and then teach them how to do a to-do list and accomplish their to-do list, not just write down a to-do list, but actually go through it. And another thing that I really believe in, and this was taught to me by Rob Schellenberger and his dad, Becoming Your Best, is to pre-plan out your entire week. So if you can start teaching your kids to pre-plan out your entire week, your efficiency goes way up, and that goes for us adults as well too. So I'm right at 18 minutes. I'm gonna try to hit on some of these that I haven't already covered, and I would really, appreciate some of your responses. How do you feel about this? Do you feel that anybody can become wealthy in this country, or that you're marked to be poor the rest of your life? Look at how many people out of the slums or out of the poor, worst parts of the neighborhoods end up being able to make themselves something. And if you go back and if you analyze their lives and you read their books, they're going to tell you exactly what they did. And it's going to be in alignment with everything that I am talking here. From this study, this was from Money Crashers, 20 Productive Habits of Wealthy and Successful People. Wake up early. Do not check email the very first thing. Eat healthy. Exercise. Sounds very similar to these others, right? The wealthy have set a primary goal, 80% versus 12% of the poor. Have a written goal, 62% by the wealthy, 6% by the poor. Have a to-do list. Again, 81% by the wealthy, 19% by the poor. Believe time is money. That goes into wasted time watching TV, wasted time on social media, wasted time on recreational internet searching, all those other things I've already mentioned. The wealthy believe that time is money. Your time is valuable. Once that clock goes ticking past, you guys have spent 19 minutes on here with me right now, and I appreciate that because I value your time as you value your time to be here watching this. And hopefully you get something positive out this and you can transfer this to your kids and help them succeed even more in life. Spend wisely. In other words, the wealthy understand the value of a dollar. They just because they're wealthy doesn't mean they just blow their money, right? They negotiate, they shop because they know if they have less money, then they have less money to make money with, right? They take longer lunch breaks. They read a lot, not just for pleasure. Here you go again, reading. 86% love reading of the wealthy, 26% of the poor love reading. But get this, 88% of the wealthy spend 30 minutes a day in educational self-development or in their field of expertise. 30 minutes per day, 88% do that. I know that I would fall into that category, all right? And I've been successful in my life. It's not by accident. These are habits anybody can create. Take calculated risks. That's what the wealthy do. They'll take calculated risks. They'll weigh the pros and the cons. Whereas what do the poor do? They tend to play it safe. Robert Kiyosaki talks a lot about that. Here you go again. The wealthy network. The wealthy know when to stop working. The wealthy give back, charity. The wealthy avoid TV. They avoid gambling. They control their emotions and they listen more and talk less. So that's a lot of information, but I will tell you what, those are successful habit building that anybody can create. And it doesn't matter your surroundings. It doesn't matter your environment. But if the parents were teaching this to their kids, even the poor, deprived families, if they understood these and then passed these success habits on, maybe some of these more of these poor people could raise themselves up. I think it's very important that we understand the core issue and not to blame the wealthy, blame the rich, punish the rich for them having success habits. Why don't we start teaching these success habits to the poor? That's a real solution, in my humble opinion. So thank you very much for tuning in. Love you guys. And again, please comment, share your own thoughts on this, and wishing you a great and wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.